There are so many things to stress about when it comes to international travel. And with my upcoming Europe trip, you know what I'm not stressing about? Finding Wi-Fi or getting scammed on overpriced SIM cards. I'm using Saily, the eSIM app that keeps you connected in over 200 countries without the airport hassle or those ridiculous roaming fees. It's made by the folks behind NordVPN, so privacy and security covered. You install Saily once, pick a plan, and you're good to go. Whether you're hopping countries or just need solid data from the moment you land. And bonus, Saily has a built-in ad blocker that can save you up to 28% on mobile data. That's more scrolling and less wasting data. So if you're traveling soon, do this now. Download the Saily app in your app store and use the code DATEABLE at checkout for 15% off your first data plan. That's DATEABLE for 15% off. Stay connected, stay smart, get Saily.
I've been on a health kick lately with the wedding and then just realizing it was time to start eating better in general, which is why I love Washington red raspberries. They are clean, simple, and a seriously delicious way to add more nutrition to your day, whether you're trying to clean up your snacks or build better meals. They're American grown, picked at peak ripeness, and frozen within hours to lock in nutrients like fiber, antioxidants, and vitamin C. And they have no added sugar. Just fruit as nature intended. Instead of my typical breakfast sandwich, I've been doing a red raspberry smoothie, and it's been an excellent source of fiber because, fun fact, raspberries are one of the highest fiber berries. Want to discover new ways to use American frozen red raspberries and get more details on where you can grab a bag of these delicious berries? Go to redraz.org. That's REDRAZZ.org. You'll find recipes, health tips, retail locations, and everything you need to make frozen Washington red raspberries a regular part of your routine. And don't forget, look for Product of the U.S. on the bag. Some of my favorite products made with Washington red raspberries are Costco Kirkland Signature 3-Berry Blend, True Fruit Hyper Chilled Chocolate Covered Raspberries, milk or dark, or Smucker's Raspberry Jam, peanut butter and raspberry Uncrustables.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of Dateable.
And we're with a Mrs. in our presence.
I feel so different.
You know, I'm going to call you a Mrs. Emoji Man. because
we like to preserve privacy.
Yeah, because he always has an emoji sticker on his face when we post about him. So now you're a Mrs. Emoji face.
I do want to actually thank, because you put up like a really sweet post like right before the wedding in our Facebook community with the emoji to preserve privacy. But you were just like, this is Julie's weekend, wish her love. And we got so many people that commented. So if you were one of them, thank you. It means so much to have all of your well wishes and support. Mm-hmm. It was just really nice. And thank you for posting it, Yue.
And some people have been with us since the beginning, so they've really witnessed your journey.
They
Julie.
have.
It's an epic journey.
I loved it. So we'll recap. We'll think about how we want to recap wedding more, but I guess just a quick thing. So Yue was the officiant, as many of you have heard or knew about. And you said one thing that I thought there were a couple things you said that were funny, but there was one that you were like, without saying like the podcast, but referring to it, like you were like, we love to talk about love. We've just happened to record all of our conversations. And I thought
broadcast.
That was really funny.
Oh yeah, that was such a big honor, and it was so fun because I had sent both Julie and Mr. Emoji Man separate questionnaires, and when I got the answers back, I was like, this is so sweet, like just the most thoughtful answers that you could ask for. So I had a lot of good material to work with.
I thought your questions were really hard.
They are hard.
They were really good, though. But we were both saying that we just loved the ceremony so much. It was exactly what we wanted. because we wanted something personal. And obviously you were who came to mind. And it just like felt like we had that in there. And it was like, I don't know. I think for me at weddings, ceremonies are always like one of my favorite parts because you just learn so much about the couple. And like when it's someone that knows them well or someone that's taken the time to like weave in personal aspects, then you just feel like more connected to people. And I think that vibe just like carries over to the whole night.
Yeah, it's what makes you invested in the couple when you hear all these personal anecdotes. And I was also saying to your event venue manager slash I don't know, wedding planner-ish.
He was
Dan.
The best. He did it. Give a shout out
great.
to Dan.
I was like, if you're not religious, I don't see why you wouldn't want a friend or someone you know to officiate your wedding. Because you want someone who is kind of like in it with you and who knows you.
The only thing, though, is like, I feel like I was talking to some bridesmaids about this too. And I think you and I take for granted like public speaking. Like a lot of people were like, oh my God, my worst nightmare would be to do a speech. It's not like I don't want to support you, but like I wouldn't want to like get up in front of all these people. And I think some people are just like more naturally inclined. So like I could see if you didn't have that. Right. If you didn't have someone like I was not worried about you getting up there in front of people. But I think like I could see how that could be really nerve wracking. Like if you weren't used to it.
You got to have one friend in your friend. Everybody has that one friend in their friend group,
That's true.
Right?
It's true. They don't have to do a podcast. They just need to be comfortable.
Just not be shy.
I will say actually, because like I've always wanted to do our own vows because I've always felt like that is really sentimental. And I was like with my friend Melissa, we were like getting drinks like, I don't know, like a week or two, maybe like 2 weeks before the wedding. And she's like, oh, that's like a lot. Like we didn't do that. We just got up there. Like it's like kind of a lot to do. And I'm like, it is, like it is a lot to do. And I'm like, well, we'll see how it goes. And if like, my now husband, but fiance at the time, like it's just not like if it's stressing him out, I don't want to do something that stresses him out. So we'll just try it. And then if we'll always abandon it if it doesn't work out. I was like, I wasn't sure, but his vows, like honestly, they were so good. They were so sentimental. I told him, I was like, that was my favorite part of the entire thing.
So
they just
good.
Were so touching to me and I just loved it.
Did you see his notes?
No.
At all? Okay.
No.
Because I could see his notes and they were beautifully outlined.
Oh, I did after. Yes. I did when we came home, but like before. I thought you were asking if I knew about it before. Yes. He really, like we decided on like a format together that we saw. Like,
I see.
Thanks to ChatGPT who helped us out. But it was like past, present, future. And it's funny though, because him and I both approached it very different. Like I leaned more into like the story of how we met and some of that stuff. And like his were, I don't know how to describe like the difference. His were like maybe a bit more like emotional. I think maybe mine had a little more humor towards it. I mean, I had like some emotion clearly, but his were like really emotional, really heartfelt. I loved it.
His was very personal.
Yes. I loved it.
Very sweet. Very sweet. Yeah. It was a great wedding, great ceremony, great time all around. And the speeches were all really good. Your dad.
Everyone loved my dad. He's a hit.
So good. He's so charming, by the way, with his Boston accent. Like he's just, I feel like I was watching a movie.
I didn't never notice, which is funny.
Like, wow, Marky Mark is up there. But his Boston accent was so charming and he had the sweetest things to say. And he
definitely referenced you a lot, which
he
was really
did.
sweet.
It was really sweet. Yeah, he was really, really sweet. Loved his speech. And of course, your maid of honor killed it with the speech that she's been writing for a decade.
She really did. I mean, everyone did. My fiance. Now, like when I like first got engaged, I struggled with fiance. And now I'm like, husband. My husband's like, he had his best friend who is a woman. We went with the name Best Maya, but she leaned into it. Hers was amazing. We also had speeches the night before. The rehearsal dinner was amazing. Like my husband's mom threw an incredible event. It was almost like a wedding within the wedding.
It was.
And it was just there was great speeches by like our brothers there and then his mom and my mom. So just, I don't know. I think the speeches, it always just gives so much love. And I love that part.
I know. And your nieces and nephews are so cute.
They are.
They're just the most adorable little beings with their cute outfits. Like one nephew wore a seersucker suit to the wedding, and I was swooning so hard. I was like, look at this seersucker on this baby.
So cute. That's so cute. I think just the venue. I mean, obviously we knew this when we picked it, but just it was all outdoors. I mean, the weather was phenomenal. Well, it was a little hot, but by the end, the evening, it was phenomenal. By the evening, it was phenomenal. And I think what really like drew us to it was my husband really wanted redwood trees.
Yeah.
And I wanted a vineyard setting and redwood trees, but it just like had everything. And I think the dancing under the redwoods was like
that was so beautiful.
Magical. And it was just people were dancing. We had a dancing crowd for sure.
It was a party. It was a party.
It was.
And then there was a live guitarist, which I know that your husband really wanted. And for a while, I couldn't even find him. And someone was like, he's in the tree. He's in the tree. Like, of course.
UA also had a good joke because, like, I had, like, 9 bridesmaids because she's like, there's more in the trees. That was good. That was good. But, yeah, I mean, I think, like, I guess that's kind of the recap. I was like, oh, maybe we'll save it for another day. But I'm not sure what really else there is.
How are you feeling now that your wedding's over?
I mean, it was just amazing. Like, I feel, I don't know, I'm like still basking in the day, but I think just like, I just felt so much love, like with my husband, but then all of our families and friends. It was just so magical to have everyone at one place. Like, people always say that. And I'm also like really thankful of the number we ended up having.
Yes.
Because I felt like I actually saw everyone. Yes. And that, I feel like people always say you don't. And I think having the welcome party the night before with the rehearsal dinner and then the event, I just feel like I was able to really talk to there was not one person I didn't talk to that was invited.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Because you had a good number. You had like 75?
Yeah, roughly. And I think it really worked out. So, yeah. I don't know. I think it's good. I don't know. People say like you kind of get sad after because like you don't know what to do with yourself. But I also feel like I've been like kind of letting other stuff slide. So I think like refocusing energy to like career stuff and other parts of life would be good.
Well, you also have your honeymoon coming up.
Yes. I think having that like a little delayed too kind of gives you something new to be looking forward to. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, some people plan their wedding for like 2 years, and I just like don't know how you do it. It just occupies a lot of time. And I think I started off being like, I'm going to be chill. I'm going to have a cool, like small wedding, but you kind of get like sucked into everything. And it's like really hard to not do that. Although you can.
But I think learning from what you did for this wedding, you have to strike the balance of enjoying your wedding and also creating those memories and documenting them. So in form of pictures.
Yeah.
So I think you did that really well because you probably spent like 4 concentrated hours on photos.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Altogether, which is really tiring, but that freed you up to have some time to actually enjoy the event.
When that was happening, I was like, this is a little miserable. And like our photographer was amazing. So it's still
she's
like
really good.
She was amazing, but it's just like you're back to back. But I kept thinking, I'm glad I'm doing it now and not later.
Yes.
And I've been to weddings where I've been in the wedding party too. And like you miss all of the cocktail hour.
Yep.
And, like you're really just like tied up. So I didn't really want to do that to people as well.
It is like being a pop star. Is it not? Is it not? Like you've had this entourage, right? And then like someone's ushering you from room to room, doing your hair and makeup, making sure you're getting these photos and saying hi to these guests. That is like a pop star's lifestyle every day.
I'm good not being a pop star.
Lesson learned, don't need to be a pop star.
Learned. But yes, I think I'm just so grateful. Grateful is the right way to put it.
Good. That's a good word for it.
And
recovering.
I'm also grateful for this episode. I'm going to transition with that
Let's
because
be
this
grateful.
is one that we have been excited to air because
Yes.
we were able to meet our guest in person. We'll talk about it a little in the episode too. And we talked about his dating plan that he had. And it was very polarizing. Some people were like, this is amazing. I love it. This is the exact type of guy I'd want to date. Like, he had, just to give context a little more, we were at a sushi dinner. There was a table of how many women? It was like 10 women, maybe.
Like six women. Yeah.
6 women.
There was like 100 women and one man.
Hundreds of women.
But
They
he
were
was
coming
the
out of the
only man.
trees. Yeah. But he was the only man. And I'd say half the table was like on board and half the table was finding a lot of issues with the plan. Like saying that it was not, realistic, or as like women, they felt like it like was, I don't know, unfair isn't the right word, but like judgmental. I don't know. What word would you use? I'm not sure. Like, how would
rigid.
Your friend was not a fan. One of your friends.
Oh yeah.
And our guest Raven does address her in this too.
Yes.
To put some clarity.
She still wants to let me know that she's not a fan, but I knew that was going to happen. She just
To each their own.
Exactly. That's why you have this. That's why our entire season's devoted to conscious dating, because when you're consciously dating, you're going to weed out the people who are not subscribing to your level of consciousness, right? And that's okay. So she was definitely like, I'm out. I would take myself out of the running. But then there were 2 girls at the table that were like, this is so fascinating. I would totally date someone with a dating plan. Please lead the way, and I'm all about it.
So the best part of this to me as an observer, I feel like before he revealed this plan, the 2 of them had like pretty good banter and chemistry.
Uh-huh.
And like, I was like, I could totally see them just like
hooking up.
Yeah, like a fling.
Yeah.
But that's the way we all date, right?
Yeah.
We don't date with like this more conscious approach of like, what am I actually looking for the long haul? And is this person aligned with the approach that I would take? And I think the fact that he had this, he was able to actually see that they both were able to see like, this is not actually a good fit. And there was other people at the table maybe that were like a little less assuming. They were a little quieter, that maybe he was like, ooh, actually this person, the 2 of us might be more aligned.
Yes. You want to be speaking to the people who want to be spoken to.
Yeah.
And if you're speaking to the people who are going to reject what you're going to say, then there is no point. You're not going to get along. So even he said, probably in a past life, these would be a casual hookup, and then they soon realize they hate each other. But now we front load that, and she was like, I would never date you, and he's like, cool, I would never date you either. Awesome. And like, they weren't even, before they even got started, they were like, yeah, let's not even go there.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It is kind of amazing. But that's the point of when you have a dating plan. I think it is polarizing for a very good reason. Not everyone's going to be along for the ride, but it is also important to be a little flexible in that. I have a direction of where I want to go, but I'm also willing to collaborate on how this plan actually, manifests in real life.
And you'll see actually as you listen that he does kind of come around to that too with some stuff that you said, Yue. So we'll leave it at that because it's such a good episode. But we really want to encourage people to use this episode to think about your own journey, because we talk about his journey leading up to it, because it also makes a little more sense why he's so rigid on certain things because of his past. So everyone has their own journey. Everyone has a dating plan that works for them. There may be things in his that you're like, oh, hell no. Or other things that you're like, oh, that makes sense for me. The idea isn't to like take his plan and you start using it. The idea is like just giving it some conscious thought of like, how do I want to date my way? That's really the theme of this season. It's the theme of the book, How to Be Dateable. So plug, if you haven't bought it yet, go get that audiobook or hardcover or Kindle edition, howtobedateable.com. But really, that's what we're trying to promote is like, you know yourself best. You know your history. You know what your strengths are, what's holding you back, especially if you've taken that dating archetype quiz.
Archetypes.
And from there, you can develop a plan that makes dating feel more fun, more fruitful, more energetic. I know what I'm looking for, so I can say, not for me, or okay, this is interesting.
More aligned and
Yes.
being okay with coming up with a dating plan that scares away the wrong people, because that's what you want. And when you think about what Julie just asked you to do, also think about, what would I put in my dating plan that has some people going, nope, not for me.
Yeah.
That's a very bold move, but that's what you want. You want to both attract and repel.
Look, we started this episode recapping my wedding, and I think about this often, is right before my partner, I had this other guy in my orbit that we actually never even met up. It was this weird thing during COVID, but he could not prioritize even making an hour despite coming in real hot on video chats and all that. So anyways, I got to the point that I was like, the old me would have been like, oh, it's okay, I'll just wait for his like work to die down and, give him, because he's saying all the right things, but eventually it'll happen. And the new me was like, I want someone that prioritizes me. If this guy can't make an hour to find time, even with a busy schedule, or be more forthcoming about it, then like that's telling me what I need to learn. And from there, I was able to say goodbye in a nice way, but just honor myself, and it freed me up to meet someone that was on the same page.
Yes.
And that's really what we're saying here with a lot of this, is that there's this mentality of every date needs to turn into another date. And it's actually a success if you're able to see early on that someone will not turn into another date.
Yes, exactly. Having that clarity and having the agency over who you allow into your life, and then who you're like, I'm going to let you go back out there because you're not for me. And that's all it is. Nothing personal. You're just not for me.
Right.
And we're good with that. So if that resonates with you, you're really going to resonate with this episode. But also, we have so much more content on our Instagram that also may resonate with you. We're at Dateable Podcast. That is the handle. We're also on TikTok under the same handle, Dateable Podcast, where, engage with us. I know it's like kind of scary. Some people don't want to comment, but engage with us. We want to hear from you.
And we're doing YouTube lives too. So make sure to come by on Tuesdays, and you can ask us questions related to the topic that, you can do it live. It's like you're talking to us. It's great.
It is. You're like talking.
Yeah.
You are talking to us.
Just through a screen and typing, but all good. It's more instant. Anyways, and thank you too. We had a listener actually write in. I wanted to give her a shout out. She wrote in a long time ago about a brunch talk episode, and it was like a weird gray area situationship with her friend, and they had the talks and they got to a place of like designing a relationship that worked for them. So I love that. I love that they were able to, one, get clarity of what they're looking for, and then, do it their way. That's really what we're saying with all of this. So thank you for closing the loop. We love when people do write back and, what helped them, what inspired them from the episode to actually take action in their own love lives. So good luck to both of you too. And we're happy for you.
Yes, very.
Okay, cool. Well, before we get into it with our guest, Raymond, let's hear a message from our sponsors.
Fall is in full swing, and it's the perfect time to refresh your wardrobe with pieces that feel as good as they look. And luckily, Quince makes it easy to look polished, stay warm, and save big without compromising on quality. Now, Quince has all the elevated essentials for the fall. Think 100% Mongolian cashmere from $50, washable silk tops and skirts, which I have many of, and perfectly tailored denim, all at prices that feel too good to be true. Why? Because they partner directly with ethical, top-tier factories, and they cut out the middleman to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. I think Quince has become my one-stop shop. They're just pieces that I keep reaching for over and over again. And one of those pieces are my linen pants. They're just like the perfect transitional piece from summer into the fall, which is so great for here in LA. Keep it classic and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE.
Okay, let's hear it from Raymond all about his dating plan.
Raymond, our man with a plan. We're going to get into what your plan is, but how we found out about the plan was because we were doing a book event at Santa Monica Public Library, and you came because you are Damona Hoffman's cousin.
Yes, that is correct.
Such a great link there. And then we all went out to dinner. And of course, when you come to a book event about dating, what are you going to talk about at dinner?
Dating.
Right.
Inevitably.
And you were one man with a million girls.
Right.
And you had our full attention because you came in with your date plan.
Yes, that is
which
correct.
we appreciated.
UA, thank you so much. Julie, it's so good to see you both. Yeah, Damona's cousin. She's such a wonderful human being. And, you know, for somebody who is 45 and single with no children, like, I don't know that I'm the best indicator of her skills, but she's so gifted in this world. I often don't listen to her advice enough. And we have briefly talked about this, and she was really supportive, just like several of you ladies at that evening were supportive of this concept. And so, yeah, obviously, it's not typical. You know, I don't hear a lot of people outside of some of the fellowships that I have that really even discuss intentions around dating. You know, it's a lot of like, oh, I'm just going to go to the bar, or I'm swiping, consistently on Hinge or whatever app they're on. And they're wondering why their dating life is a bit of a hot mess. And so, you know, I am trying to take a different approach. I'm trying to be much more intentional, but also understanding that the universe responds to the details. Like, you know, people have vision boards and goal plans and all these things. And like a year later, like, oh my God, I accomplished everything. Maybe I should have dreamed bigger. Well, I kind of want to extend that to my dating life, and that, you know, my plan wasn't working as well as I would like it to, you know, and I now I'm at a stage in my life where the Peter Pan syndromes and the, you know, always young, wanting to be like a David Duchovny in Californication, you know, I've let go of these kind of, you know, societal beliefs of what healthy male energy is and how you go about attracting a partner in life. And now I want to have intention. And so this dating plan is really that. It's just bringing intention to my dating life.
I love that. And I think that's what set this conversation at dinner apart. We were like, we need to get Raymond on the podcast because, you know, intentional dating is a buzzword. It's something that a lot of people do agree with you. There's many people that have no plan at all, that just go aimlessly. But then intentional dating is like, well, I know I want a relationship, but it's lacking a lot of times the details of what you were just saying. And I think that's what stood out for you. So we're going to get into what your plan is, what entails, but maybe we can go back a little of like, what even brought you to think like, I actually need to start dating differently. I need to come up with this plan in the first place.
Yeah, that's a really long story, and I will try to not get too deep into the weeds.
Cliff Notes version.
Too deep into the weeds on that. Yeah. Golly, you know, I guess if I had to stereotype myself or give myself a persona, I was identified as educationally gifted at an early age and therefore really leaned into school. What that did, though, is that kind of separated me a bit from my classmates and my peers, such that I start seeking what I call validation from others to fit in, to feel like I fit in, to, you know, almost dumb down some of my gifts and abilities to fit in with others. And that extended into my dating life. That extended into the validation that I got from being able to attract popular or good-looking women into my life. It extended to my dating life where my friends were the beneficiaries of maybe some of these abilities to bring a group of interested women to our table in a club or a bar setting. And so I started to really behave in a manner that was not just, it just wasn't in alignment with finding a healthy partner. It was in alignment with seeking validation and getting, you know, let's just say putting yourself in some very compromised positions with the best of intentions, I guess, but also just not fully understanding my power. Like I didn't understand what it was that I was capable of truly doing, and also the impact that had on myself and others. It reinforced some bad behaviors in my mind, and it also attracted people that were not on the vibration that I wanted in my life.
Were you a fuckboy?
So I would say that I was, I guess a playboy would be better than fuckboy. I mean, I feel like fuckboy is somebody you don't want to hang out with. I feel like what I was very gregarious. I come from a family that likes to celebrate and likes to have gatherings at the house and is very sociable. So like I brought all of that to my dating life, and that resulted in a lot of good times, if you will, like great times. But did that result in a healthy partnership with someone that, you know, had similar values and belief systems and like to do the same activities. No, it resulted in me being out Thursday through Sunday, feeling like I had to be out and I had to go out and had to date around. And the quality and number of women that I dated was somehow indicative of my worth or what I was capable of doing. This is honestly what I believe toxic masculinity is in the world. If there is such a thing as toxic masculinity, it's we're trying to be like the movie stars and the rappers and the singers and the artists and the people that we believe to be admired and followed. But frankly, you know, I believe it's really unhealthy behavior that we see exhibited with a lot of popular culture stuff. And so, look, I didn't know any better. And also I was getting lots of validation from this behavior. So this followed me well into college and out of college. And, and I was just basically, you know, I was on the scene. I was in the mix. I had super interesting nicknames given to me at different periods of my life because of the amount of social activities that I was doing and my ability to attract the opposite sex.
Can you share one?
I knew that. I don't know why I opened myself up to that. These things can live on forever. Yeah, all right. So one easy one was Sweet Baby Ray. That was a that was like a barbecue sauce, or it is a barbecue sauce, but like it was also a moniker that was given to me. Some of the ones that I'm not proud of and like where I'm at in my life, I share the things that I don't want to share. So Smooth Ray was definitely one that was got stuck to me, and it would always get brought up in some really interesting times. One recently in my 20s when I first moved to California was the mayor of Hermosa. I lived in Hermosa Beach and I was, you know, very active in that scene. If you've been to the pier and know anything about it, if you're in your mid 20s, there's lots of activities to get into. Yeah, so look, there's more like that. I mean, I don't know that I want to give all of them away
that's
tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I think
sampling.
I'm getting the vibe, like not like a fuckboy, like screwing people over, being malicious, but more just going out on the town. Wait, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I thought that's what you were taking from it. I was like, no.
No. I'm more, more like you, just quantity of women that you.
I would say that unfortunately, I certainly believe that quantity, but also the quality of the women that you were actively talking to was the measure by which you were a man or that you were good with ladies. I mean, that I got to be honest with you, this is the predominant culture that I see when I'm out and about. And now when I go out or I'm out socially, it's very obvious to me and it's a bit cringy. Like, I'm like, God, was that really me? You know what I mean? Like, was I out here really behaving that way? And frankly, I'm gonna be honest with you, the level of engagement that I'm seeing from women now is almost like they want to take a cue out of the men's book and be like, oh, I am independent, I can do whatever I want, and I can pick and choose the guys I want and how I move. And I'm like, please, no, don't do that. Like, we all should be looking to aspire to be a little bit more, value ourselves a little bit more than we do when we're in the hookup culture. Maybe that's the best way to call it. It was like the hookup culture in the 2000s was just like, that's what it was. And I honestly, I don't regret any chapter of my life because it brought me to where I'm at. And I'm very happy with the path of my life and what God has brought to me and what my higher power has taught me in these lessons. But if I'm being honest, and I was 14, I wish somebody would sat me down and been like, hey, when you go to engage with someone and you're intimately interested in them, these are the things that you should be thinking about. These are the questions you should be asking. And this is how important it can be to share yourself, your love, and your physical intimacy with someone and how it can impact your life. And nobody was talking this way. And frankly, I don't hear many people talking this way as an adult either.
I can see someone, I'm sure at least one person out there is listening to you describe your 20s and 30s being like, what's wrong with that? That sounds like fun.
Of course.
Like, obviously the women were willing and
Right.
you were able to date around and be the mayor of Hermosa Beach. Like, what's wrong with that?
So another thing I've learned is like, you know, I don't cast stones in glass houses. Like, I'm not pretending that this is no judgment on anyone and their lifestyle choices. I would just say that my story of recovery and healing, there is also a very real outcome and consequence from this behavior. There's any number of things, which is unintended pregnancies, STDs, sexual assault allegations. Like, there's a million things that can come from you being loose and fast with your intentions. My behavior, my actions are all that I can truly control in this world. And if I can show up by putting good, positive energy in the world and explaining and using my story to help others to understand while it's not cool, hooking up with lots of random people and sharing my sexual energy with mad people, that is not okay. And that's really detrimental to my spiritual well-being my physical health, and my mental health. And it's a really sacred, powerful thing. We are creator beings. Like merging with a man and a woman merging can create life. Like you have to understand that's the power of the energy you're sharing. And so it's really important for me that I lead by example now, and I use my story to help others. And, my fellowship and my 12-step program allows me to do this. And I think honestly, I've talked to some fellows recently that were like, hey man, be careful what you say going on a podcast. And I'm like, look, bro, I'm out here trying to live transparent and honest and integrity in my life. And if my story can help others, then I'm going to share it. And that's really where it's at.
So, I mean, I think what you said too about just that lifestyle, the hookup culture, just getting mixed in a lot of substances. Like, I know even when I was like, I mean, obviously when I was like in my 20s going out all the time, like you weren't making good decisions when you're like impaired, right? And even like when I started dating, I remember I leaned on alcohol a lot as like a social lubricant and a crutch. What was that point for you that you decided to go to the 12-step program, SLAA? Is that correct?
Correct.
What made you decide, and I guess what is SLLA, and what made you decide like, okay, it's time I like seek some outside help on this?
A couple things happened. There's been different points in my life where my decisions put me in a position where, I was very much of a low vibration, struggling, whether it be, depressed about the behavior or consequences in my life from that behavior. What happens is God tests you all the time. And like I was doing really well, and God brought someone back into my life that I had met on a dating app. And that person, I think a lot of red flags were there. I really honestly wasn't processing what a red flag really was. Like it was just like kind of old patterns and behaviors started to cycle. I was in a moment where that person and I were out, alcohol was involved. I felt myself not wanting to be there, but unable to stop the behavior and the pattern that I was in. They call it being powerless. And I felt a sense of powerlessness and for the first time in my life, and was willing to acknowledge that. I was willing to acknowledge that I was in this moment trapped in my own body, trapped in 2 decades of behavior, of continually doing the same thing, playing out over and over again, but really inside just desperately crying out for help. Like, I do not want to do this. Yet we were back at my house. Yet we were into my bedroom. Yet things occurred that I just had no intention after months and months of celibacy of doing at the time with this person. So the next day, I respectfully ended that engagement with that individual. I was very, very disappointed in myself. And within a week, and I met someone who invited me to a men's only group on the West Side. That's how they described it. I said, yeah, that's great, man. I was literally open to anything that felt like higher power. I went to this meeting. It was a SLAW meeting. They described the characteristics of SLAW in that meeting, which checked a lot of boxes for me. And after I heard those characteristics, I was in a bit of shock. I was in a bit of like, wow, I have this addiction that I didn't even know about. I didn't even know about these 12 steps. Sex and Love Addiction Anonymous is what SLAW stands for.
Not SLAA is what I was calling it.
Yeah, SLAW or SLAA is fine. It's really like a life program. Like, what is my childhood trauma? What are my resentments around the behaviors and traumas that have occurred to me? What is some of the inner child work that I can do? Like, what are my current behaviors? How do I get in consultation with others around my behavior? How do I bring sobriety to my life so that I'm making better decisions? And people describe themselves as, fantasy, intrigue, codependency, anorexia. Like I could go on and on about the ways that this shows up. But really what it does is it teaches you how to do life. It teaches you how to have healthy relationships. And it gives you a fellowship and a community, and it brings you in touch with your higher power. And honestly, it brings in service. Like many things in my life had the fortune or unfortunate nature of having a lot of stigmatized things come into my life. This is like no other. It has stigma, but it's really quite a beautiful program that has helped me tremendously. Once I see something that works, I lean in. And I worked that program like my hair was on fire, like my life depended on it. Mm-hmm. And I also just started my second SLAW 12-step program because they generally say if you're only, if you're not working 36 steps, you're not even really in recovery, right? You're still in denial. So I started a second 12-step program wrapped around marijuana. And that has been really illuminating for me as well. And so I'm just in a whole new world, in a whole new place and space because of SLAW and because of program and the integration between these experiences is what program offers. It offers a way to unwind unhealthy behaviors, to create new patterns, new neural networks, a new support system, and then understand how do I actually do the work of unwinding. I read a book called Whole Medicine. And one thing she said that struck me really, really hard was that you cannot give consent under the influence of any substance. So that means if you've had one drink, you are actually not able to give consent. So you truly can't give consent unless you're of a completely sober nature. And like, if you think about how almost all relationships are started in this world, like there's oftentimes
Alcohol.
correct. And it can be any number of substances, right? Like food is a program, DA, money programs. There's lots of ways you can have addictions and to manifest, but like just this notion of sobriety, like in relationships, if you're not coming from a sober place with intention, it is likely that you're going to repeat a well-worn pattern that hasn't served you previously and will continue to not serve you. And so that's why I have a sober dating plan.
So SLA helped you make this plan. Let's get into the plan because I think
Yes.
everyone wants to know what's in the plan. Can you share with our audience like you shared with us over that sushi dinner?
Sure. So I'm glad you brought up the sushi dinner because there is one clarification I want to make is one of your friends was quite struck by something that I said was more of my opinion than it was in my plan. And I went back and looked.
Oh, okay.
I went back and looked at it and I will touch on that. But essentially what we have is I have 4 columns, dates 1 through 4, dates 5 through 8, 9 through 15, and 16 through 20. So your first 1 through 20 dates, each column gives you for each block, like what is the expected sober behavior in getting to know someone, right? So I'll give you an example. Dates 1 through 4, your first month of knowing somebody. Well, generally, I couldn't get through 3 dates without having some serious amount of intimacy happen in my previous dating life. Like it was just kind of par for the course of some sort of expectation either I had or they had. So it says talking on the phone or emailing maybe 1 to 2 times a week, no long conversations, right? We all think like, yo, I want to get on this like 9-hour call with this person and just tell them my whole life. But like it says, no, don't do that.
Why?
No, it doesn't go into the why behind it, but morally, like what happens is basically you're intriguing or into fantasy when you do that. That's my, I'll give you my, what
Baby
I think
steps.
is why, but you're basically creating a whole new narrative that's just not existing. And it's an addictive personality, a compulsive behavior. Being on a call with somebody that long is just not natural and not necessary when getting to know them, but whatever, to each their own. So no text messages, except for logistical things like I'm running late, I'll see you soon, but no long text conversations. And I love this because it's like an impersonal form of communication. You lose a lot in translation. Like I just don't think it's very great, but this is not me, mind you. This is somebody else's. I adopted these. There's like 3 or 4 different dating plans that I found and I created this one. Dating others is okay. Now, this is the disagreement not disagreement. This was the point of where we got into it at dinner.
It was a disagreement.
Yes.
This was where I gave some my interpretation. It says dating others okay. Now, agreed. Within 1 date of knowing someone, like, yes, like you should be doing whatever you feel is in your best interest. Where I sit and where I think is super important is this notion of how do you truly get to know someone when you're spreading yourself thin across multiple individuals? And what I believe is within the first 1 through 4 dates or within the first month of getting to know somebody, when do you say, I'm no longer swiping? When do you say, I'm going to stop dating all these other people I'm dating? I'm going to commit to this person. When are you intentional about focusing on the courtship that's required to form a union that is lasting? This is what I meant. So if I find out within the first 4 dates that she's dating 4 other dudes, I'm not going to wait on her to decide one day, yeah, I'm going to stop dating these people and I'm going to give you all my attention. I'm going to think you're not serious about getting to know me. You want to continue to play the field, and that's cool. If you want to play the field, much blessings to you. But that's not in alignment for me, and I would move on. So that's the clarity I wanted to try to bring to that. I hope your friend is listening and no hard feelings.
I'll make her listen.
I mean, I could not agree with you more because I feel like when you spread yourself too thin and you're always looking for the next best thing, you don't actually get to know the person in front of you.
How can you?
So I could not agree with you more. I do hear the other side of what people were saying. I think maybe it was because we were saying it was more like on the first date. But I think like the first 4 dates, that makes more sense. I think the feeling was, and I think a lot of women, I don't want to speak for all women, but a lot of us have been here before that like guy comes in hot and is like, just me and you, let's do it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they pull the rug out and then you're like, I thought this was going somewhere. So I think some of it's self-protection a little too and just testing out the waters all in all. But I think in the first 4 dates, I mean, it makes sense in the overarching thing of like, I just want to get to know this person a little more.
And this notion of like, you said something interesting about protecting oneself or like, maybe this is a pattern you've seen before. I think this maybe then comes full circle back to what is inside of me that is triggering me
Right.
to have this fear of abandonment or of somebody not, like, this is the work that's required. Like, I often will say, and this is probably not even in this list, but like, if I find out within the first several days they're not doing any work on themselves, via a therapist, via a 12-step program, or via something, then that's a huge red flag for me, because that means that they are not recognizing that they have these unconscious issues and they don't have a structure for which how to deal with them. They don't have an avenue for which how they're going to continue to get better. And so, for me, I really believe you attract your life. This is what I keep talking about, vibration and frequency. You attract your life. By me living authentic life in integrity, doing top lines, living a life that I believe is in alignment with my higher power, I will attract in what is for me. I didn't seek this podcast out. It happened because I was trying to be authentic.
That's for sure.
Right. Like, I didn't plan to come tell this type of story in front of who knows how many people for how long.
Don't think about it. Just kidding.
Right.
It's just us two.
Okay, so first 4 dates, it's
Yes.
no excessive
All right.
communication,
Right.
no like seeing multiple people. Like
Right.
what else is
I'll finish.
yeah.
No serious talk about your history, trauma, or past relationship. So this
Okay,
is
interesting.
Yeah, this is called, so like when you trauma bond with somebody, this is a term
Yeah.
in program, trauma bonding. This is
Yeah.
automatically going to help resuscitate a cycle that you do not want. So you can
It's also an addiction, huh?
Yeah,
Trauma bonding.
Yes, so this is in program. This is very clear addictive behavior. Hugs and kisses on the cheek are cool. So hugs, kisses in the cheeks, but like no makeout sessions. Both people take their own car to meet up, and you spend less than $100 on the date. That's 1 through 4.
Okay.
Okay. And how do you, because you got these from the program or like from a variety of programs, like
Right,
how do
yeah.
you, like which ones have you decided like I want to use, I want to leave? Like how do you make that
These
call?
are guidelines. So let's just keep
Yeah.
that straight. Like all of this is guidelines. All of the like 1 month, 1 through 4 dates, like they're all guidelines. I have it in mind because I believe like this makes a lot of sense to me. And since I've tried to sober date since making this, I've realized it's very difficult to do these things. Like this is not easy.
Yeah, it is.
This is
I
not
think the
easy.
texting alone. That
Yeah.
But
would
it
suck.
really slows you down, and it really
Yep.
makes you present with somebody, and it really makes you commit to getting to know someone, which is, to me, like all things can be avoided as long as you take your time. You can only hide your true self for so long. And like these things come out. And if you don't have the ability to slow down and be like, I'm worth it. My value is high. And if this person is not trying to do these things, then go ahead and get the next one, because I'm not the one for you. Self-worth and self-love, frankly, love of self, to me is the whole
It's
thing.
the point.
It's the whole thing.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners. So how do you communicate though? Because this is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking out loud, like because dating culture, it's like all about texting. It's all about like making out. Like if I went
Right.
on 4 dates with someone that I really liked,
Right.
I never really heard that much from them in between the dates and we
Right.
never made out, I would think this person like wasn't into me. Like how do you
Right.
get around that?
So I didn't have a problem on my first time taking this out for a test run
Okay.
because
You're like,
we
they knew
had-
I was into them.
we had such a good connection in the 2 hours that we spent together on the first date. It was super clear that there was an attraction, that there was a desire. I recognized on that first date that they were going to not be able to adhere to these rules. It became pretty clear they were making inroads into advancing things quicker than I would like. And I recognized also I didn't have the kind of recovery that I really wanted to put myself in this position. So I pulled back and said, you know what? I really appreciate you. I really respect you. I had a wonderful time. At the end of the day, I think I'm rushing things a little bit right now. And I had to take a step back. And so, I think the communication and the time you spend together is the only, like, if you can't tell and if you can't create a bond in those moments, then you're forcing it or things are just not meant to be. Like, I don't need constant reassurance, long text messages or long conversations or all those things. Like, if you truly like somebody, and also this is my plan. Like, if they want to reach out, they can reach out. Like, if they want to do those things, I'm not even really telling right now people this exact detailed list. I'm just trying to live by these guidelines.
Oh.
Okay, like I get on one side being like this person feels like they're moving too fast and doing this, but if
Right.
they knew where you were at, do you think that
Yeah.
might have actually
They
helped them
did.
slow down?
No,
Okay.
I will tell, like, as I said, I'm living my goal is to live in honesty, integrity, and all things that I do. They actually knew that I was in 12-step well before we ever went on this date.
Okay.
They knew that, like, I'm in what they call withdrawal right now, which is not even withdrawal, it's just my life. But withdrawal is like when you withdraw from having intimate engagements with people until a period of time in which you feel you're clear to date. Now I'm clear to date, but I don't actually feel the desire to. It's like this. If my flow is so good right now, what you have to bring to my life in order for me to bring you into this situation is got to be on a level that, like, it feels like there's an attraction. There's a pull, and this is something that, we both are on the same page. And frankly, I have some really lovely people in my life that I think would like to take that next step, but they're being very, very respectful about my wishes.
Okay.
And things are just, the friendship is being created right now with some of these folks.
So they're aware that, like, you're not kissing them, not because, like, you don't like them, but because you're, like, trying to take it slow.
So I will, and I did see UA be like, what? When I said I don't tell them, like, I will I would let them read this if that's required.
Okay.
In order for them to understand where I'm coming from. But, like, I don't think I have a problem communicating that I like somebody without making out with them, right? Like, I don't have to have, like, my tongue all in your mouth for you to know that I like you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of just, like, what's the norm again? And I'm not saying
unsaid,
that, like, like, I'm not saying anything you're doing is wrong. It absolutely isn't. But it's like, that's just where dating culture has gone. So I've definitely been around.
Norm, right? This is more than not the norm. This is
might not be the norm.
It's a small percentage of people that are even trying to go about their dating life in this way. My hope is that maybe this plants seeds with folks that, like, look, when God bless my mom. She raised me in such a manner that, like, there's nothing that I do for validation per se of someone approving my life. I had a validation issue around feeling different and wanting to be accepted. But the reality is like, each of us is a unique snowflake in this world with gifts and abilities. And we often sell ourselves short in these jobs we have in this current structure and society we live in. Like, I'm just no longer willing to do that. And if this is going to make my dating life harder and take longer per se, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I end up being some old dude who's just like, living in a 1,000 square foot apartment and just playing chess every day at lunch with his old dude buddies and, like, doesn't have this notion of a life where I have a partner and children, then I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with what God has in store for me. I'm okay with, traveling the world and just being authentic. I really do believe, though, that there is a really high value, beautiful person from the inside and out there that wants this level of connection and foundation build when it comes to a relationship. And so let me just finish these other ones.
Yes.
I'm gonna like smooth through these next two columns because some really interesting stuff comes on both of them.
Okay.
So dates 5 through 8, the second month, light petting above the waist, hands outside the clothes, French kissing, talking on the phone and emailing can increase. Text messages are still used sparingly. And then seeing each other's house, physically affectionate, and then spending more than $100 on a date. So that's like the next phase.
That was like literally my wish list in middle school. Like petting above the waist outside the shirt and talking on the phone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I fell asleep with the phone on my ear many times.
Many times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole thing, right? But I love the whole, like, seeing each other's home. Like, when do you let somebody see your home? Like, that's actually really intimate, like, important. Intimate. And, like, if you're into my house, like, the first time and we're, like, I had someone recently, I ended up on a date and didn't mean to. This is what I mean by well-worn patterns. I literally just was like, hey, after a church, I was like, let's go get some food. And next thing you know, 6 hours later, she was inviting me to have dinner at her house. And I was like, I came out, like, I was, like, drunk. I was like, hi. I was like, what in the am I doing right now? I was like, I've had so much fun with you, but I gotta go home. I can't. Yeah. It's not how I can roll. And oftentimes I would have thought that was like hitting a grand slam. Like, oh, this is the greatest day ever. Like, everything happened. Anyway. All right. So dates 9 through 15, 3 months. So to me, 3-month courting cycle seems like an eternity. But previous Raymond, but many versions of me have luckily died and been born again. And this is a natural 3-month cycle. So in that third month, dates 9 through 15, discontinue dating others before having intercourse discussion. I don't know about you, but a lot of people that I know, me have said, I didn't talk a lot about having sex, like before having sex. It was kind of like you just hoped it happened.
Yes.
Right? You just kind of got into the flow and you're tearing each other's clothes off like every movie you ever saw, and you just did it. And like, this is what I was saying I would like to know earlier is like, when are you stopping swiping? When are you going to, have a commitment? Like, because it should happen before you have sex, in my opinion. Now, I don't know who's waiting to do that and if that is a thing, but I just don't think that happens.
Yeah.
Disclosure about your sexual history and addiction before having intercourse. So this is, for me, one of my bottom lines. It's something in my program and in my life that I've come to realize, like, I have to be able to establish a relationship on a basis of honesty that is impeachable, impregnable, like has to be rock solid. And like, I can't move forward without telling these things to give them the option to be like, yo, that is too much for me. I'm going to have to part ways, right? So the notion of being and dating someone for 3 months and then having that happen is not awesome. I don't look forward to that possibility, yeah. But I also know that this is important for me. Next one is discussion about STDs, intercourse with condom only, oral sex is okay, sleeping over each other's house is okay, short vacations and weekend getaways. So that's 3 months in. And then 16 through 20, 6 months in, unprotected sex only after STD testing, longer vacations over a week, introduction to family members, and then okay to discuss long-term plans of relationship.
I mean, I think what I'm hearing overall, the idea of this too is to help slow things down in Big general, time. Especially from people that may have, sped things up in the past and are recovering from that. I guess just a point of clarification. Yeah. You said in the beginning, 0 through 4, people weren't on other dates or like on dating apps as much, but then it was like exclusivity later
was
on.
In 3, like,
yeah.
So
what's the difference?
Dates 9 is when you should discontinue dating others before having intercourse. So once again, this is a guideline, but it basically just saying that you should not be dating other people before you decide to be intimate with this person in that way.
But weren't you already there in 0 to 4?
No, where I am is if you're intent on dating several people while you're dating me, then that's not going to work for me.
Oh, okay.
So wait, so you could still date people in 0 to 4 or no?
Yeah, I mean, in that period of time, they're going to do whatever they want to do. Like, these are my guidelines, like not their guidelines. And I may not even share these details with them, but just, I guess, between us girls and everyone else that's listening to this, like if that person I come to find out in the first month of dating them is serial dating lots of people, I will find that as a very big turnoff. That they do not have serious intentions about getting to know me. I do not want to be one horse in the paddock trying to race for the finish line. That is not going to be how I date. At some point in that first month, there needs to be an understanding that, like, and this goes for me as well. Like, in fact, I don't plan to date more than one person at a time, meaning if I find myself attracted to someone and willing to go on a date with them, I will not be entertaining other people at that time because there's no way for me to process and get to know that person in any real way. Now, this, I understand, once again, why we had the disagreement at dinner about it, is this is clearly a triggering thing right now because we live in this casual dating culture, swipe culture. Like I'm just not with it, bro. I am old school, I guess. Like I am not with that noise. Like if you feel you need a bunch of dudes taking you to dinner, wooing you and trying to give you things or whatever they're doing, you're not ready for me. You're not ready for what I'm trying to bring.
I think what was provocative about your statement, and I think it's a little different.
Yeah.
Is that you said, if I find out she's dating other people, this is over. Kind of like a test.
Well,
and I think some of the women did not like that phrasing.
Right.
Because shouldn't you just be more
I would disclose
upfront with it? Yeah.
I wouldn't just be like, I would be like, oh, you got a date with Bill on Saturday? Cool. And then
I see.
over.
Blacklisted.
I would definitely not do that. I would 100% do what I'm doing right now. And I've actually done this with a lot of brothers in my fellowship because they'll come to me complaining about how like the girl they really like's not into them or all of a sudden they ghosted them. And I'm like, well, bro, are you surprised? You're going on 4 other dates right now in 1 week, dog. You think this woman can't feel that energetically? Like energy to me, I'm very sensitive energetically at this stage in my life and have developed this ability. I know energetically my astral self or the different versions of me that are energetic communicate in ways that we cannot comprehend. They know things going on and what's good for us and not good for us and what's happening long before our physical minds actually sort it out. And we ever hear women have like intuition, they think their man's cheating or like they have these intuitions are your higher self, is your spirit being like, yo, this is not right. You cannot fool people's intuition. You cannot. Women know when you're cheating on them. Men know when something's not right is because energetically your energy isn't right. And so for me, I can't be spreading my energy like that no more. And frankly, I just maybe learned from my past mistakes.
What's the difference to you though? Because I hear this, like I hear the side that you're saying is like, women that want guys to like woo them and like, pull
Right.
out, it's validation, right? At the end of the day, it's the same
Yeah.
situation you were talking about earlier. There's
Right.
that. And then there's like we were talking about earlier that I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I don't
Right.
know if he's also dating 5 other people. I'm just trying to
Right.
protect myself and not get ahead of myself. And I think they're coming from very different motives. How do you like decipher between the two, or to you are both a deal breaker?
I like to think that this is kind of why I want to know like what kind of work they're doing in their lives on themselves, mind, body, and soul, because it'll become very clear to me the intent that you're putting into educating yourself, into taking care of your physical vessel, and into growing your spiritual relationship with whatever the God of your understanding is. I think through that conversation, it's going to come very clear to me, whether something that is important to you in your dating life is coming from a place of validation, a place of ego, a place of comparing to what the Joneses got and what you got, and like, like how big is your ring kind of scenario? Or are you coming from a place of like, I want a true connection with somebody that is showing up in life, that's going to show up for me and my loved ones, that's going to provide me with a stable, healthy energy? Or do I want that sexy movie star? I'm not sure if they like me, but they're super hot and going to take me to a red carpet and a fancy dinner, and they're going to pick me up in a car whose doors go up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it's really that difficult, frankly, to gauge whether someone is doing the work and trying to get in a better place, and therefore I'm willing to continue to go down the path with them, or somebody that is completely like, I need something that is a false narrative or illusion that's been built in my life, and I have no desire to change it. And if you don't align with that, then we're not going to work. And I think the girl, the friend that was sitting right directly next to me, might fall into that latter category of like, this is the way that it's got to be, and this is how I believe it's a man should approach dating me. And if you're not going to approach it that way, then we're not compatible. And it was very clear we weren't compatible at that time.
No.
But like, she's a lovely person, I'm sure. But like, it's not simple. Like, there's nothing in life that's simple, but anything worth having takes work. And like, I'm willing to put in the work, but if they're not willing to do the work, then it's not going to be a fit.
So that brings me to think, so with this plan, are you willing to but are you willing to just show even like the beginnings of it to
Yeah.
someone that you go on a date
I'd
with?
show them on the first date.
And what if the woman says, can we collaborate and negotiate on this?
Yeah, I would
Can we
revise
work
it
on a
with
plan
her.
together?
100%.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
actually
Okay.
a bias. That's like a huge green flag for me.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like
That is
that.
Yeah.
like, well, because that means they're willing to do the work. That means
Yeah.
they recognize this is a thing. And like, and frankly, that's the kind of communication I want. I was going to actually, that's my answer, Julie, is it's communication, right? Like, you need to be able to establish what kind of communication you expect from a partner. I was talking to a friend yesterday about this. They feel away because their partner hasn't contacted them in a couple of days. And I'm like, well, bro, have you actually sat down and talked about like what your communication? He's like, yeah, we had this conversation on a road trip to so-and-so. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound real solid, bro. Like, I mean, like maybe you guys should actually sit down and write out what are these expectations for our lives together. And that would be a little bit more clarifying and helpful, as opposed to you responding to an abandonment issue you got that you clearly know you got.
Right.
And you think this person's going to abandon you because they ain't talked to you in 2 days. And her exact words were, if you don't hear from me, things are going great. So I'm like, oh, she's telling you that like this is going to happen. This is not an issue for her. And it is for you.
So I'd say like half the table of the dinner we went were like, this feels too rigid. I don't like this. And there was other people that were a little more silent that after you left that were like, I'm into this.
Listen, the girl next to your, so the girl sitting to your left, actually the two girls sitting to your left.
They were into it.
They were into it.
Oh my God, into it. It was like, I was ready to plan a date with the one directly next to you to your left. I was like, I could tell.
She'd be down. She was so down.
Would be down.
She was really into it.
Here's the thing. This is why, and also, for the three of us have talked about this off air, but I am setting Raymond up. Not setting. I don't like using the word setting up. But I am introducing Raymond to a friend of mine who also, when I told her about you, she was like, please, I need to meet this man. Here's why. Across the board, everybody's like, I just need some guidance in dating. Like, it's nice to have someone who can not so much lead, but say, here's like a general structure of what I
Right.
like to work around. So there's no guesswork. There's
Yeah.
no autopilot. There's no like, should I? Does he? Do I? That it's
Right.
just so much more clear when everything's kind of like formatted for you.
Right. I mean, it does take a lot of the pressure off. For me, especially in the few dates that I've gone on since having it, it's been like real clear. Like, oh no, this is not gonna work. Like, also my behaviors and alignment in life in general have eliminated a lot of that BS. Like, there's no dating apps, and like I never loved them anyway, but I used to be on them. And like, so even if we get to that level, it becomes pretty clear. Like in the first few engagements, I'm like, oh yeah, like you're like a nice person, and I'm sure somebody be happily to engage with you, but it's just not me. It's not this time. And so like I feel like I do a disservice by not mentioning these last few things about the dating plan. But like these are some things that I put that it's like it says each is a boundary statement of behavior I no longer want in my dating life, followed by an affirming statement of behavior I do want in my dating life. So
Hmm.
for me, it would be like I will not date for reasons of just having physical intimacy. So my new intention will be I will see them to do something of mutual interest or to get to know them as a friend. Like it's a huge change, just that little
Yeah.
subtle
Yeah.
difference. I will not stop or cancel my previous commitments to schedule a date. It's another big one. Like this happens all the times, right? Where you like flake on other people that you care
Yep.
about because somebody hot jumps into your DM or whatever. And then I say new intentions is I will see them when it fits into my schedule.
Yeah, I love that.
One will say I will not have sex with them for at least 9 dates. That's what I have put on here. So then it says I will establish mutual respect, trust, and honesty through open communication before having sex. So I'm not setting an arbitrary timeline. Like I'm saying that this is what needs to have happen on our connection level before we do this. And so for me,
Yeah.
so that just goes to the point, like there isn't a set amount of dates, there isn't a set amount of time, but there is respect, trust, honesty, and communication required before that happens. I will not assign magical qualities to my date. I will see them for who they are. So I will practice active listening. That was one that I thought was important to include. I will not give away my power and trust. I will take time to get to know them and come to my own conclusions about whether I should trust them, right? I will not manipulate situations, circumstances, or slaw to gain validation or physical intimacy. So this is probably bigger for me because as in sales and business development and a entrepreneur, like I've gotten very good at like, verbally communicating with people, and that can be used to manipulate situations.
Yeah.
And so I will say my answer to that is I will validate myself through self-love, self-care, top-line behaviors, and taking the next right action that aligns with the will of my higher power, aka the God of my understanding. And so these go on for a little bit. I won't do all of them, but like some of them are like I will let intimacy develop naturally. I will not have daily contact. I will walk slowly and initiate and talk to them only when we have specific plans. Like just not like overdoing it. I will not feel obligated to stay in the relationship or continue dating them if it doesn't feel like it's right, which a lot of people do. And so at any rate, the last thing I added is qualities I'm seeking in a partner. And this was something I added because I realized I wasn't detailed enough around like, well, God, what do I want? If I can ask God for anything and he will bless me with it, I should probably be more clear about what it is I'm looking for. And I listed these qualities just recently, but honesty, sobriety, spirituality, ambition, compassion, passion, purpose, healthy lifestyle, physical fitness, and doing work to heal themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. So that's my dating plan right now. And it's set to evolve, I'm sure. There's a few others I didn't list here, but like that's it in a nutshell. And like I'm really, really hopeful that the people that are choosing to listen for an hour and 3 minutes or whatever this is, find value in it. And maybe it's just one little nugget, maybe one little something that can help inform them. I'm obviously here to connect with anyone that wants to discuss any of the 12 steps that I've mentioned or aspects of dating plans. I very much believe in service and I want to be of service. And I'm really, really, really grateful for both of you for doing this work and bringing attention to like what I think is super, super, super important in society is like, how do you go into this world and give the energy you want to receive, but more importantly, like establish healthy relationships?
And then what I'm taking away from all of this, like you have this guideline from SLAW, but you've been able to customize it to fit what works you. And I think the biggest takeaway is whatever your plan is, setting an intention helps you slow down and setting these details and looking at your past patterns of like where you maybe got ahead of yourself and like what can I do to kind of bring that down a notch. I think that is a really good way to like reset those patterns. I think the other big takeaway I'm having from all this too is like, how do we collaborate more with the people we're dating? Because
Right.
Yeah.
there's so much in dating that's just like, well, expectations or what it is. And I think like, I'm just thinking of the texting example. It's actually pretty healthy to not be texting 24/7 with someone that you've never met before. Or
That's saying a lot from Julie because she loves texting.
I mean, like I think there's this thing though you were saying, Raymond, too, about like imagining who this person is.
Right.
And that
Fantasy.
happens a lot with dating apps, especially because you haven't met the person yet. You have this fantasy of who they are, even in
Right.
early dating, when you don't really know the person. So I think
Right.
that is actually healthy, but it could also be like confusing to someone if you didn't share where it was coming from. Like
Right.
instead of like answering one word sentences or like not ever reaching out. So I think that collaboration
Right.
needs to happen in like sharing, like, where am I coming from? Maybe I don't need to share every last trauma I've had or every experience on date one, but sharing that because of my past, this is where I'm going.
Right.
And I wanted to like be more intentional in dating. I think, yeah, you might get 50% of the table that's like not for me, but you will get
Right.
the other 50% that's like, ooh, this is different. This is interesting. And ultimately, what you were saying is it's okay to filter out those people.
You
And
want to
that is
filter
what
them out.
you want to
Yeah.
filter them out. I think we say this a lot. It's just as much about filtering out the wrong people than attracting the right people, because that's what allows you to
Yeah.
attract.
Yeah. Value your time.
Yeah, and we often talk about DIY your own love life. We haven't really talked about DIY your dating process. And
Right.
that's what you're doing.
Right.
And I love this idea of collaborating and DIYing this with the person that you're dating. And maybe the person you're dating today, the plan you come up with will be different than the person you date in the future.
Right.
And that's what makes this so cool, because you don't have to follow any timelines or other people's expectations.
Right.
I still remember we posted something months ago, and I had mentioned that my ex and I took a year and a half to say I love you. And the comments were so varied. And many of the comments were like, that seems like a long time. That was a red flag. And some people were like, well, were you sure when you said it? Because a year and a half, everybody has their own opinion about
Right.
how fast or how slow things should go. But it's all based on our previous behaviors and patterns, right?
Yeah.
But what
Right.
you're doing here is scratch all that. Let's forget it. And we're going to set this new pattern of behavior in this new container. And there's no too fast or too slow, because we get to set the pace together. So that is very refreshing.
I absolutely love that. I think you probably changed my dating plan today because
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, no, believe it or
When
not.
you say I love you.
Definitely not putting that in there. But no, I am convinced that what you said is actually probably the right path, which is, and I don't know exactly. I'm going to think on it, but like sometime within the first 4 dates, I'll probably will, based on how much I am feeling the connection. Not only will I will be, I can't help but share this kind of stuff anyway. You'll figure it out pretty quickly if you talk to me in any real depth. I'm going to probably mention this, but like asking them to sit down with me and
Yeah.
actually craft something that we both can agree to as a process for our dating. That takes
So cool.
it takes real sobriety, real responsibility, real, let's just say
Effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that person's going to have to really think and deliberate about how they expect to show up and how they want someone else to show up. It's going to expose probably lots of folks, and then also really, really qualify some people. And
Right.
I really love that.
Mhm.
If someone's willing to sit down, go through this, and then adjust it for our
Yeah.
plan, like I would feel tremendously confident in our potential for
Yes.
that. And I think it's important sometime maybe within dates 1 through 8 that like I suggest this. And I will add, they do have a matrix created where it's like, these are my expectations. These are the things that I like to do for hobbies. This is my expectations on travel. I like a beach. I like going to the mountains. I like skiing. And like each person fills out the matrix, and then they like trade.
Oh.
And they like, oh, so you like these
Interesting.
things. There's alignment here. You don't like these things. There's not alignment here. But like, I think a lot of times we get so caught in the fantasy and the intriguing about what could potentially happen. We don't even really want to know this shit. We just want to be caught up in the fantasy of like, right? Of this is going to be my Cinderella situation. And so like, I'm convinced that while this is not going to be the path of the many, I believe it will be very fruitful for my future potential relationships. I'm willing to, I've, in my profession, in my life, I've been told no many times, and I'm prepared to get that no. I'm prepared to lose what I consider to be a potentially attractive mate for this kind of alignment.
I'm very curious what's going to happen with UA's friend, because I could just see her loving doing that with you.
I'm smiling so hard right now. Even though there's no romantic connection, I really think people who think this way feel so alone in this world, because they're like, when can I find someone else who thinks this way? So you'll be in good company.
No, I appreciate that. And I, no matter what, know that there'll be a lot of respect. There'll be a lot of love in how I go about that engagement. And only God knows, one day at a time, I'll just continue to do and take the next right action and try to respond from a place of love in all my affairs. And I really feel that, life will be a blessing at that point.
Is there any parting advice or anything you want to share to help anyone that's really trying to get a hold of their patterns and create a plan that works for them?
Certainly go back through this conversation and start to take notes and pick out the gems that resonate with you around the work that you should be doing on yourself before you try to bring yourself to a partnership. I believe that we attract our lives. That means you need to raise your own vibration. You need to prepare your mind, your body, and your soul for the life that you believe is in alignment with you and your higher purpose, your higher power. And in order to do that, you have to do the work. You have to actually, it's not the most sexy work, it's to dig deep into oneself and to question where I might be falling short, where I might be having a trauma or conditioning response, where I may have addictions, and where I may have behaviors that are compulsive and just not in healthy behaviors. Because when you do that work, you free out the space, you eliminate those things that block us from our own blessings, and you really allow your highest self, your highest vibratory self to emerge. And when that happens, look out, life will come flying at you in ways that are just going to be absolutely magical, serendipitous, synchronizations, beautiful souls. I consider myself truly blessed to be on the podcast to even talk about it, and knowing that I might be putting a lot of interesting information about myself into the world, but I truly believe that my story will help others to heal and to find their path in life. And so with that said, I think being of service, doing the work on yourself, and trusting that there is a higher power that's going to help bring and attract into your life what is meant for you. And then honestly, don't be afraid to say no. Honor yourself, love yourself. It's very important.
I think that is the biggest takeaway. It's less about dates 1 through 4. I should be doing this. Everyone needs to figure out what works for them. But it's how do I honor my own needs in the process and stay true to them, and then share them with someone and see if we can collaborate. But if we can't, it's okay to walk away.
Absolutely.
Because we're not going to just bend over to do what dating culture says we're supposed to do.
Right. Well, you'll be a casualty at that point. You'll be one of the millions of stories out here of people that have these, really unfortunate breakups, right? And the consequences of that can be substantial in one's life, whether it be children with partners that they don't co-parent well with. I mean, countless examples of how it can go wrong. So I believe love wins. The first one to love wins. And I think that if you're in that space and you're loving yourself first and foremost, all the right things will start to align for you in life.
Great words to leave everyone with. Thank you so much, Raymond, for being on Dateable.
You're
I think
welcome.
we're going to get a lot of emails and DMs about this one. So look forward to connecting you with
a lot of people
people
listening. Someone could be yes, this is for me. Connect me. If you live in the
or
LA
the people
area.
Who are no, this is not for me.
That's okay.
We want to hear
Yeah,
from
I'll take
everyone.
it all. Yeah, you bring the good and the bad. I am certainly here to be of service, and to anyone that's listening, I'm happy to have a conversation.
On that note, we're going to wrap up this episode.
Stay dateable.